Greetings to all of you, wherever you're listening from. I am Commander Bimal Raj, a TEDx speaker, internationally certified trainer and coach, mindset mentor, and a teen and parents coach. In this podcast, The Awkward Talks, I bring you topics that are usually considered taboo or are not discussed freely by the youth, but are some of the most pivotal things that we should be talking about. Have you ever had people close to you telling you any of these? I never said that, it's all in your head. I told you not to do this. You never listen. You have changed. You were so much better before. I'm stressed because of you. It's nothing. You're overreacting. Now stop being so dramatic. Now all of us have heard this from people around us. Most of the time, these are just one-off remark or a reactive statement at the heat of the moment. However, if you have been hearing this repeatedly over a period of time from the same person, then you are a victim of gaslighting. Now, gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse in which one person manipulates the other into doubting their own perceptions, memory, and sanity, and it happens persistently over a period of time. Merriam-Webster, the US dictionary publisher, announced that its 2022 word of the year is gaslighting, and that's due to the tremendous growth in the word's popularity. This is happening because of the increase in awareness of self and the people and the environment around us. However, I think it is still not discussed and shared openly, and a lot of people are silently suffering without even being aware of this. Now, the origin of the term is interesting. It comes from the 1938 British play Gaslight. In that, a husband manipulates his wife into thinking that she is going insane by dimming the gaslights in their home. Ergo, gaslighting. Now, gaslighting can occur in all types of relationships, like romantic relationships, friendships, and family relationships. The person who is gaslighting may use various methods, such as denying events that happened, twisting the truth, and creating confusion and doubt. They may also use emotional manipulation like guilt to control the other person. So what happens when you're subjected to gaslighting? Think about it. Have you ever started doubting your capabilities, your memories, your intentions, even your love for someone? Then you are a victim of gaslighting. Because anyone subjected to gaslighting will find themselves in a state of confusion and self-doubt, even questioning everything that they do. For example, if you repeatedly keep hearing statements like, "You made me do it," "I did it because I was trying to help you," "You are too sensitive," "It was just a joke," especially after saying something hurtful or demeaning. It's natural for you to question your thoughts and actions and start feeling underconfident about yourself. Unfortunately, this is often done by people who are close to you, like friends, family, lovers, or by people who have influence over you, like seniors at workplace, your boss, etc. If you are a parent, please remember that when you say things like, "You're a selfish child," "You're a bad child," "You're rude and ungrateful," "You have no value for money," or even protective statements like, "There's no need to cry," "You're tired," "No, it did not happen that way." When you say these, you're basically making the child question their judgment, their sense of reality, and will make them start second-guessing themselves. At your workplace, if you hear persistent negative remarks of your performance with no constructive feedback, if you're excluded from relevant meetings, or someone starts saying negative and untrue things about you, even if your boss or senior keeps saying, "What are you talking about? You're not making any sense at all." All these are examples of gaslighting at work. Now, gaslighting can have serious effects on the victim's mental health, including anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. It can be difficult to recognize when you are being gaslit, especially if the behavior is subtle and occurs over a period of time. Now, before we can find a solution to a problem, we need to acknowledge that it exists. And then, to help us heal, it may be a good idea to understand the why. So, why do people gaslight? There are two main reasons why gaslighters behave as they do. It's either a planned effort to gain control and power over another person, or it's because someone was raised by a parent or parents who were gaslighters and they learned these behaviors as a survival mechanism. Gaslighters need control and power. In a relationship, they need to be in charge and they need to be right about everything. They routinely impose their judgments on you. Their tactics include constantly criticizing, blaming, making verbally abusive statements, intimidation, denial of responsibility, etc. It starts off as very subtle comments and could even be shouted in humor. The reality is that gaslighters suffer from a low sense of self-worth or self-esteem, and they try to cover it up by constantly pointing out other people's flaws and controlling others to a point where they don't feel confident about themselves. World leaders have been accused of gaslighting their citizens, telling them something is or isn't true when all the evidence clearly points to the opposite. You may have a gaslighter in your family, friend group, or workplace. Now, gaslighters also find people who support them under any and all circumstances. They will then use those people against you with comments like, "I'm not the only one who thinks you are wrong, okay?" Or even so and so thinks that you are unreliable or insane or even a bad parent. Now, these may be lies or exaggeration, but they serve their purpose. Once you start believing that everyone you know is against you, you won't trust any of them. And you won't go to any of them for help. And that keeps you further isolated from family or friends and gives the gaslighter more control over you. As I dug deeper into the topic, I came to understand that there are 4 types of gaslighting. Yeah, I know, as if one was not enough, right? 1. Outright lying. They'll say, "They're jealous of me, so they make up lies about me." 2. Manipulation of reality. "You're wrong, you never remember things correctly." 3. Scapegoating. "It's your fault that I'm angry, you always try to confuse me." And 4. Coercion. "You're being overly sensitive and prudish." Now, often it's a combination of these 4 types and not just limited to one of them. Now, how can you recognize if gaslight is happening to you or someone you know? There are many signs, but let me share some of them quickly here. First, blatant lying. Now, you know they are lying, but they totally refuse it every time. So what happens? You start doubting your judgment. Second, deny. You know what they said, but they deny ever saying it. So you start questioning your memory. Third, use what you love against you. You love your job, but they find issues with it, like lack of time for kids and thus making you a poor parent. You start doubting your judgment. Fourth, love and flattery. After tearing you down, they will build you back with praise, making you feel that the abuser is not that bad. Fifth, projecting their self. Now, the gaslighter is a liar and a cheat, but they accuse you of being a liar and cheat, and that makes you constantly defend things that you never did. Sixth, position everyone else as liars. They will tell you stories and convince you that everyone is against you or that they talk ill of you, making you more and more dependent on the gaslighter. Seventh, emotional blackmail. In your relationship, they accuse you of their unhappiness, sadness, and even lack of success. Now, this is also called as romantic terrorism, but I will do another podcast on this topic because this is also very important. Well, there are many more, but I hope you get the drift. Now the question is, how can you help yourself? The most important thing for you to do is to recognize gaslighting and gaslighter. Teach yourself to recognize when and where it's coming from. You need to be aware of who you are and what your strengths are. Now stand firm knowing that you are right in what you thought and what you said. You don't need to try and prove the gaslighter wrong, but don't let what they say or do affect you as well. You don't even need to continue a conversation if you feel agitated because of the things they say or do. Be sympathetic and remember that they are doing this because of their low self-esteem and not because something is wrong with you, like what they say. In fact, many gaslighters don't even know they are gaslighting and are largely unaware of how their behaving is affecting others. In fact, many gaslighters don't even know they are gaslighting and are largely unaware of how their behavior is affecting others. You build a strong support system of friends who know you well so that you can even discuss your doubts and fears with them. The worst case is where they are aware of what they are doing and there is also no remorse in what they do. In such cases, and if it makes you doubt your sanity and you feel confused and constantly unsure, trust me, it is better to walk away knowing that this is a toxic relationship and that you will lose your confidence and your identity in the long run. Now, gaslighting is a type of abuse that is difficult to identify and break free of. Total recovery from gaslighting is possible, but it requires time, self-compassion, self-care, and patience with oneself. You'll also need a few trusted people you can lean on and safely share things with. It might also be helpful to seek the services of a trained professional, such as a counselor or a psychologist. Now, if you think this episode has been helpful, please do give your comments and rating. Do share this podcast with others. Trust me, there are a lot of people suffering because of gaslighting and they are not even aware of what is happening. I'm Commander Bimal Raj and I will see you next week with another awkward talk. Thank you.